Good afternoon, guys. It's working, bringing you a quick update on Bitcoin as well as answering a lot of your questions. More answering your questions on this video, guys. Not so much analysis. If you do want more detailed analysis, I encourage you to watch the video that I just put out prior to this. But as of now, guys, Bitcoin still operating, as I said in the prior video, right below major resistance at about $11,500, guys. Currently being rejected, and actually we're getting rejected pretty hard here. Looks like we could come down if we drop down below, as I said on the prior video. If we do drop down below 10,700, that's when I'll start to get a little bit concerned and think that we may be coming back down to test a little bit lower. Possibly that 10,000 range does come into play again. And of course, you guys know we've been eyeballing this $9,400 zone for quite some time. Of course, 11,500, extremely relevant zone, guys. We knew that was going to be a major resistance. How did we know that? Well, it's a visual resistance, as well as, of course, looking at CME gap. We do have a clear gap at 11,500 all the way up to and including 12,080 on the CME chart, which does trade a little bit higher than the spot charts here. So for these reasons, guys, as you know, we've been expecting that resistance, and we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. Sorry, guys, had to pause the video there very briefly and take care of something. All right, zooming in here on the 4-hour, going from the local high, very microstructure here, to the local low here. We can see we rejected right inside the golden pocket there, and we can see that we're finding some support right around the 50 there, maybe coming down here and testing about the 382, which lines up perfectly, which, as I said before, right around that $10,700 area. So yeah, if we do break below that 10,700 decisively, and again, not by a wick, but a 4-hour open and close below that zone, yeah, I will be looking for at least a drop down to about 10.3. I don't really think that's gonna. I don't think we're gonna find much support there. I think more than likely we'd be coming down to around that $10,000 area for another test. And you know, this time, pardon me, this time probability-wise, guys, I do think that we can see that the resistance has been softened up quite a bit. First, second pass, third pass, it broke through, second double tap there, and then we came up here. So I point that out to say, if we do come back down here and test it again here, could we see something like a double bottom? Absolutely possible, but I think probability would be more in favor of coming down and testing this $9,400 zone. And again, that's the short-term bearish scenario. We certainly have not, that certainly is not quite in play yet. First, we need to take out the bottom of this prior wick, which is sitting around $10,950. Now that gets taken out, guys. Yeah, I do start looking for possibly a test of that $10,800, $10,700 zone. Looking at about 11,500, of course. If we get a decisive break above 11.5, by decisive I mean a 4-hour open and close, then I'm going to be looking for that rise up to about 12,370, as I explained in the prior video. All right, let me go ahead and get to your comments here. Wayne Roberts says, so grateful for your comment to provide education on Bitcoin analysis. I always share with my crypto community. Thanks, Wayne. I appreciate that. MacDap says, Workin, what do you think about the 67% of all shorts dropping off the board in a split second a few days back? Yeah, I discussed that on a prior video, MacDap. We discussed it pretty in depth. And for those of you that don't know what he's talking about this massive drop. It was actually right around, I think it was about 70%. You might be right, 67, whatever. Yeah, this was all one person liquidating obviously at one time inside of about 60 seconds. And it didn't really affect, at the time, it had almost no effect on price. Now, traditionally, you think, how is that possible? You know, typically, if you're going to cover your short positions, how do you cover? You cover by buying. And of course, if you're going to, especially when you're talking about a position like this is a, what was this, like a $20,000 position, or excuse me, 20,000 Bitcoin position, much different. You know, then you know, obviously you would expect that to affect price, and it didn't. So how is that possible? Well, it's possible because Bitfinex, and again, I explained this. I explained it happened back here. I made an entire video on this back in May of May the 15th or May the 16th or 17th, somewhere thereabouts, where we had something similar happen back here. And basically, that's Bitfinex allowing people to actually, what they call, instead of covering, they call it claiming. And basically claiming your shorts off books basically means you can transfer Bitcoin onto your wallet on the exchange and cover it that way off of the books. Which is shady as hell. I get that. That's extremely shady. You know, that's cryptocurrency. In traditional markets, you wouldn't see that, but in cryptocurrency, you do see that, and that's why that happened. I wouldn't put a whole lot of you know, why did this happen? You know, it just or excuse me, what is the point of that? Is it insider trading? Is it somebody setting up for something? I mean, you'll drive yourself crazy trying to figure it out. But that's why that did happen, and that's that's basically why it didn't affect price. I'm assuming that's your question. All right, Ash Vinicio or Vecchio says it's the way the video is encoded. YouTube is particular. Just make sure it's encoded properly, and you shouldn't have any issues. Been enjoying your TA style. Oh, I'm assuming you're assuming as to on the prior video as to why my videos personally are not uploaded properly or take so long to upload. Okay, I'll look at that. Thank you for that. I'll take a look at that. Appreciate that. Thank you, Ash. Foyne Wolf says, thanks, Working. What's the difference between CME and normal charts? Good question, Foyne. Basically, the difference, basically the CME charts are future charts. As we discussed earlier, guys, if you've been listening to my videos for any amount of time, you are familiar with them. But basically, it allows people to speculate on a price in the future and allows them to create buys and sells to be settled at a future date on a agreed upon, a pre-agreed upon price. So it's obviously a little bit traditional from spot markets where you're buying and selling in real time. This allows you to buy and sell at an agreed upon future date for settling and future price for settling, if that makes any difference. Also, CME charts are not traded on the weekends. So again, a little bit different from the 24/7 trading on the Bitcoin charts. So that's basically, I'm assuming that's what you're asking. If that is what you're asking, that's basically the difference there. And that's why we see so many gaps on CME charts usually happening on the weekends there. You get that price difference between a Friday and then actually they start trading on I think it's 6 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. So, all right, 12 Fruit says 2041 in, that high point on EOS was right before the unveiling of something big by the EOS team, which was the social network, among other things. I'm sure you already know that, but just making note for other people who don't know, it seems that the event didn't live up to the hype, and so we saw a huge drop afterwards. So when you do your retracement, would it be necessary to take the news into account? If so, then wouldn't you choose a lower point, say a few weeks before the peak, as your true peak? Just wondering, these videos are the highlight of my day. By daily crypto consumption. Hey, thank you very much, 12. I really, really appreciate that, and I appreciate your support. I notice you comment quite a bit. Really do appreciate your contributions to the channel. To answer your question, yes, I am aware that was the CME, or excuse me, that was still in my mind on CMEs. That was the voice announcement that EOS made on June the 1st, their 1-year anniversary. And yes, it was pretty lackluster. I think it was I think by all objectionable standards, it was pretty disappointing. I would have to say that as a big EOS fan myself, it was a little bit disappointing. And yes, that is why we saw that drop. To answer your question, no. Do you factor that in on your charts? No, absolutely not. Typically, the news is kind of baked into the price ahead of time, and even when it does come out, guys, even though it does drop drastically, that is still all to be taken into account on your TA. So no. Fundamental trading and TA trading really does need to be separated in your mind. And no, you don't just disregard a massive move on the chart simply because it happened due to the news or due to some kind of news coming in. That is not the way you trade. And with regard to EOS or basically any other major announcement, you'll notice any other major announcement in crypto, it always spikes right before the announcement. And regardless of if the announcement is good or bad, it always drops right after the announcement. The only time you're seeing a spike after the news is when it was a surprise, is when there wasn't some kind of a buildup to that announcement. But in this case, we all knew when the announcement was going to happen. Everybody was buying in on that announcement. And regardless of what that announcement would have been, most people end up selling the news, which would have been on June 1st. So even though, yes, it was a bit of a disappointment, I still think a lot of people would have ended up selling the news, just like we've seen so many times over and over again with cryptocurrency. So again, don't mix that up with your TA. You're going to drive yourself crazy. And know that the peak will be the same. The valley is going to be the same. So the answer to your question is no. But it's a very, very good question. It's a great question. I'm certainly not knocking the question. It's an excellent question, and it's something that I would say the majority of traders, especially retail traders, they mix up. They confuse the trading with news, and they try to conflate fundamental analysis with technical analysis. And yes, sometimes the two do come together, and you could see a major move based on the news. But oftentimes you can certainly see hints of that spike or that drop prior to that news coming out. because there are always leaks. There are always leaks, and oftentimes you can see those leaks on the charts. All right, T. Grubble says, broke above 11,100. I have been proven wrong on the downward push. Cease to be boring, that's for sure. LOL. Hey, no worries, T. Grubble. I mean, that's no worries at all, man. No worries at all. Sometimes we are all wrong, man. I'm certainly wrong. I'm certainly wrong a lot. Mr. Sylvia says, what about the possibility of we going, I'm assuming you mean I go, or of us going to 12,000 and do fill the CME gap and then drop to fill the lower gap. Cheers. And test, maybe test 11,800. Yes, that's a real possibility here. We're certainly seeing that possibility play out now. One thing we did know is we were going to find resistance somewhere around that $11,000 to $12,000 zone with that major CME gap, guys. That denoting, as I pointed out in my prior video, many sell orders. So we did know we were going to find major resistance there. The question is, are we going to reject hard off that zone and continue back down, or have we seen a bottom on this correction and we're going to continue back to the upside? And I explained all of my biases and the key points to watch in my prior video if you are interested in knowing that. But very good question. JK says 1.5K viewers in 8 hours. LOL. I don't know if you're making fun of me there. Is that good or is that bad? Actually, 1.5K, that's excellent for me, man. I'm a small channel. So that is actually in my I don't know if it's optical art or possibly somebody else spreading the word, possibly you guys spreading the word. I don't know, but I really do appreciate that. And if you're trying to make fun of me because I have a small channel, man, I know that, JK. I know I'm not these 20, 30, 40, $100,000 followers, man. I'm doing my best here. All right. Blue Baron says, I heard that only CME daily time frame gaps are filled. For this reason, the 12.2 or 7,200K, which was on the 1 hour or 4 hour, will not be filled. What is your opinion on it? The 1 hour or 4 hour, I think that was on the daily. You're right. The daily gaps are the ones that you really want to watch. The other ones are just kind of nice to know, but typically don't have to be filled. But I thought that was on. Let's go check it out. I thought that was on a daily. The 7.2. Sorry, where am I here? There we go. My computer would work here. There we go. But wow. You are exactly 100% correct on this. You are 100% correct on this. You are this is my bad, guys. In fact, this is my bad. This is Workin is a complete moron, and I'm going to put that. How about idiot? Workin is an idiot. Yes, I am an idiot. Yes, this gap does not, this 7,200 gap does not need to be filled. This was only on the 4 hour. For some reason, I had in my mind this was a weekend gap. I don't know why. This is on the 4 hour chart. I have no idea why I have this down here. You are 110% correct. You are 100% correct. I am 100% wrong. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for pointing that out. Blue Baron, you get a love on that one, baby. Blue Baron, thank you very much for pointing that out. You're 100% right. And I owe everybody here an apology. I have no idea why in the back of my head. Maybe I'm just doing this too quickly, but yes, you're 110% correct. Disregard that $7,200 gap on CMEs. Completely disregard that gap, guys. I'm a complete moron. I just rushed through that, and for some reason I was thinking that, yes, the only time you're going to pay attention on these CME gaps typically. Now, I will argue and say that that's not always the time. It kind of depends on what kind of a gap it is, and of course the time frame and et cetera, but I'm not going to get into that. The point is, and your point is very well taken, typically, especially with these CME gaps, you're only going to be looking at the daily time frames. You're 100% correct, guys. So no, are we going to come down to 7,200? We might, but certainly it's not going to be to come down there and fill that gap. So the only major gap we have now looking down is this 8,500 to 88.70, this gap down here. Working as an idiot. I apologize, guys. I completely owe you guys a 100% apology. My apologies. Blue Baron, kudos to you, man. Kudos to Blue Baron. All right, Sammy Sorry says, just wanted to say thanks and appreciate your helpful videos. Past few weeks subscription, I appreciate that. Thank you. Your explanations go a long way, and hopefully we will all benefit, we do, to becoming a mature in the trading approach. With your hands-on experience, I hope it clicks as you said. I didn't know that TradingView had paper trades, so appreciate this tip. You're welcome, man. Looking forward to making profit and becoming a regular tipster for your valuable time. Hey, thank you very much, Sam. I do appreciate that. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know. know. And yeah, that trading view paper trading, guys, if you haven't done that, highly recommended. It's tedious at times. I understand that. It's frustrating. It's something that nobody's going to want to do. But I will say this, guys, the majority of people that are day traders, now if you're talking about swing traders, long-term holders, that's completely different. But the majority of day traders, majority of scalp and day traders, guys, will not be profitable on a long-term basis. They'll get lucky every now and then, but it's more gambling for them. So if you want to be a profitable day trader, first of all, know your limitations. Not everyone's going to be able to do it. But second of all, you've got to put in the work. And paper trading, I have to say, paper trading is absolutely 100% the best way to know if you're going to be a profitable trader and to basically protect your money. So highly recommended, and thank you, Sam, for pointing that out. All right, Majid Khan says, new to your channel and like your content, not being bullish or bearish, keep it balanced. Will do, man. Thank you very much for pointing that out. Wanted to ask, with Binance closing its U.S. customers in September, where 15% or more, I believe, their trading volume comes from, and the Bitfinex tether problem, do you think these elements could drive price of Bitcoin lower than expected, than us expected it go? I understand what you mean. There's a saying that if too many are bullish or thinking the same way, then it's time to start asking questions. I feel like this is the beginning of 2018 all over again, and we won't see a proper bull run till next summer. Well, good question. Excellent points. You are right. If everybody is looking one way, you want to make sure you're looking the other way, because market makers have a tendency to do that type of thing, guys. Everyone's looking one way, they'll drive price another way. So there's no question about that, but typically that'll happen on a more micro basis and not so much on a macro basis. And I would argue that we are seeing signs in the long term, we are seeing signs, or excuse me, on a more macro level, that this thing is breaking out and that the bull run has begun. More specifically, I would say that the volume that we've seen, as I've pointed out numerous times, guys, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but the volume we've seen coming in here, guys, is without question quadruple where we were, not quadruple, at least double where we were at the peak of the 2017 bull run. So yes, could the Binance thing, could that affect the price of Bitcoin? Yes, it could, but I do think that Binance is planning on opening up their U.S. exchange fairly soon. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens prior to September. But even if it doesn't, you have to figure that the 15%, or I don't know what the number is on Binance, I have no idea. But whatever that factor is, the people that are serious about trading, the people that are driving this market, are going to find other exchanges to trade on. It doesn't, just because Binance closes, yes, they might be forced to find another exchange, and it's not like they closed last minute to where I would say, yes, that would affect. They gave people a 90-minute notice of when they were going to close, or excuse me, a 90-day notice of when they were going to close. So people have plenty of time to find new exchanges, and there are plenty of exchanges out there for U.S. customers, more than enough. So I will say that, yes, it might affect price somewhat, but I don't think it's going to have nearly the effect that people think it will. And I think a very good chance that we're going to have, if not when the Binance exchange goes down and closes for U.S. customers, if not the new U.S. Binance exchange opens up right around that time, it'll be very closely after that. Regarding the Tether problem, the Tether has always been a problem. That's baked into the price. And honestly, I do think that Tether is going to eventually just end up surviving. As much as I don't like Tether and I try not to use Tether, I do think they're going to end up surviving. But very good question. Might it affect price? It might. I don't think it's going to have nearly the effect that some people think it will. Good question though. Scott Lee says, so I'm looking into using 3 commas for trading, but I would mostly be using it for the trading, for the trailing stop loss. Would it be worth it just for that? I think so. And for those of you that don't know what he's talking about, 3 commas is basically a trading program that you can have that basically allows you to trail your stop losses, allows you to do a trailing take profit, and a few other functions. If you got bots, I would definitely not recommend the bots that they use though. But as far as the trailing stop loss, as far as the trailing take profit, yes. As far as being able to put in a criteria to open up a trade, all of those things are extremely valuable and will absolutely, without question, save you a whole lot of stress. It'll prevent you from having to sit in front of your computer or trying to make trades on your cell phone. I mean, it's a great little program. And I think for what is it, like $100 a year or something like that, I think you can get the basic program that'll allow you to do the trailing stop loss and et cetera, et cetera. So yes, I think it would be worth it, Scott. It depends on how much you trade, but yeah, I certainly think it'd be worth it. 12th Root says, I've seen a lot of people talking about there being a lot of fake volume wash trading on the exchanges. I haven't looked into this in depth. Supposedly there are some websites trying to predict true volume, so that's something to look out for. Yes, that is something something to look out for. There are some websites that are looking that try to decipher real volume from fake volume. But the pushback to that I will say is that wash trading has been there the whole time. The wash trading was there back in the bull run of 2017. The wash trading has been there all throughout the bear market of 2018. The wash trading is there now. So knowing that the wash trading is there, and the wash trading basically is, if let's see how many times I can say wash trading. My gosh, working. Bottom line is, it's been there the whole time, and yes, is it something to consider? Absolutely. But the bottom line is, if you're looking at the overall volume, the overall real volume has still increased exponentially. Now, whether or not that real volume is this exact number at currently for today 28.5 billion, or whether or not it is 1/4 of that, it is proportionate going all the way back to 2017, going all the way back to 2016, that wash trading is still proportionate. So the percentage gains in real volume is still going to be the same, if that makes any sense. So let's say that real volume today is 5 billion. I'm just pulling a number out of my ass. So let's just say it's 5 billion for the day. You know, that the 5 billion is fake. That means going back in 2017, that would be a 4 times greater than we were at the peak of 2017. So that, or excuse me, not 4 times. I don't know why I have that number in my head. But let's say that's twice as good. That's the volume has literally doubled since the peak of 2017. So if we were at 5 billion, we'd be at 2.5 billion back in 2017. So again, it's proportionate to the increase in volume. The percentage increase in volume of real volume is still there. So we are still seeing a massive increase in volume, regardless of whether or not that is the number, if that makes any sense. Hopefully, I feel like I'm not explaining myself very well. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and leave it there. All right, thank you for the shout out, Working. This is, I couldn't pronounce your name last time, and again, I apologize for that. Truly, truly no disrespect. Annalena. Antelina, I believe is how you pronounce your name. Antelina, that's a beautiful name, by the way. So thank you for correcting me there. Oh, by the way, guys, if I ever mispronounce your name, it is never out of disrespect, ever, ever, ever. It is just me being a complete moron and not being able to pronounce certain names. So I apologize. No, I am not out of the position. I'm planning on getting out before it hits 11,500. Well, hopefully you did get out. Or I don't even know if I want to say hopefully. I believe it's still at, let's see if we bounced. Yeah, we did. We bounced, didn't drop below that that prior candle there at about 11,100. So still looking pretty good, still consolidating right below that gap on CME. Is amazing how that resistance is holding up, but also amazing how the bulls are pushing, trying to get this thing deeper into it, guys. It is, this thing is very likely going to break pretty hard to the up or to the downside here. And watch those targets that I pointed out on that last video, because you may not have a whole lot of time. All right, Merritt gives me a thumbs up. Thank you. Herbert says Bitcoin really likes the 21 moving average on the daily and weekly. Probably my most used moving average, the 21 weekly and moving average, is now at 6,300. But would it move up in the coming weeks? I think we will test the 21 weekly moving average when it is at or slightly under the CME gap at 7,200. Remember that 7,200 gap, I'm not putting a lot of weight in, Herbert, but I digress. Probably the end of July. I really don't think we will ever go under 6,200 again, because the capitulation from 6,200 in November was an overcorrection because of the Bitcoin Bitcoin Cash hash wars. I don't know about that, and maybe it was. Maybe it was, again, I don't like to get into that. I don't like to get into the real fundamentals. I'm more of a chart trader. So yeah, I don't, but that being said, I think your point is well taken. I also don't think it's going to go under 6,200. I think 6,500 is kind of my bottom, where I will start to think that maybe this thing is just a complete bear market rally, and maybe we are coming much lower. But again, I'm not in that camp. I'm not a perma bull or perma bear, but I don't think we're going to drop below. I agree with you. In my opinion, I don't think we're going to drop below 6,500, and I'd be very surprised if we even tested 7,000, but it's possible. We'll have to wait and see. All right, getting to some of your other comments here. Rabbi Alkamukchi, apologize if I'm not saying your name properly. He says, crash coming. Let's see. It might. I mean, again, we're sitting huddled up against major resistance. I will say this. Let me just pop into the 1 hour. Actually, no. No, nothing too significant. Actually, maybe a little bit of hidden bullish, but I mean, not much. I mean, we're looking at 1 hour charts, man. That's just. Yeah, I will say it does look like it does look like this thing does want to make a pretty major move. We're getting wicks to the up and to the downside here, guys. Pretty major battle between bulls and bears, and I have to say, man, it's my bias. My bias really, it looks like it may want to jump up and close this gap. I don't. I'm going to remain pretty agnostic here, guys. I really, really am. I will say that once this thing does start to move, I think it's going to move very, very quickly. It does look like it's setting up for a major move. Maybe a drop again if we drop below that 10,700. As I said, I do think 10,000 becomes in play very, very quickly. And if we do take out the top of this zone decisively, by decisively mean a 4-hour open and close, I do think we're going to look at a very quick rise to at least, as we said earlier, at least this 12,000. 12,000. I'm looking at the CME chart. That's why it's not. That's why it's not lining up. Let me go back to this Bitcoin. There we go. Spot chart's looking much better. Now it makes sense. All right. So yeah, at least if we do take out that the top of that CME gap, at least a rise to that $12,380 area where I will have to reassess. But yeah, that'll certainly put a retesting of this 13,800 back in play if we can break above that zone. Let's wait and see how it ends up playing out. And there goes another little drop there. Still not taking out the bottom of this candle here. So again, nothing too significant as of yet, but certainly does look like it wants to make a move fairly soon. And again, as I pointed out on the prior video, guys, again, I'm not going to go too much into depth here, but pointing out on the prior video on the 4-hour, we are seeing the 821 and 55-week EMA literally sitting right on top of each other, with the price sitting right on top of that, acting as support. So this does indicate that a major move is likely getting ready to come here. And by major, we're looking at the 4-hour. So again, by major, let's not get too carried away. But it does indicate that the price is getting ready to move fairly substantially there. And let's wait and see kind of how this ends up playing out. All right, JK says bounce to the 382 fib was easy to predict even for me. Of course, thanks to you working. Thanks to you working. Sorry. Now down to the 0.5, small rise again to the 0.65 or lower to the 786. Would you agree with that, chart master? I don't know if I'm a chart master, man. I wouldn't. Not comfortable with that title. But let's see. What are you using here? Are you using the well, I assume you're talking about the swing low to a swing high. So I'm assuming you're probably, let me go to the daily here, see what you're talking about exactly. In fact, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about this pivot low to this pivot high. And yeah, us rejecting right off of the 618, coming up, testing the 50, back up, testing the 382. You're talking about a rejection back down to the 50. Yeah, and let's go back to the 4 hours. We can kind of see a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, certainly we could reject right back down to the 50. That's that zone that I was talking about, guys, right around 10,700, really on this, look at about 10,650-ish, but certainly somewhere in that zone. Yeah, if we do close below that, you're right. 10,000 will become in play. Until that, possibly bouncing in between this, in between the 50 and the 382 is certainly a real possibility. So breaking up above the 382 or down below the 50 there is certainly within that target, within those price ranges that we talked about, and certainly would potentially indicate a continuation to the down and or the upside, depending on or the upside, depending on which one we break there. So yeah, very good point. And yes, I would agree, man. That's excellent work, man. Excellent work. Nicholas says, awesome video. I'm a young trader, starting to watch about 3 months ago. I've already learned a lot from your videos and really think this drop is going to be a great opportunity to invest in for many like me. Opportunity to invest for many, including me. Keep it up. Thanks, Nicholas. I appreciate that. And yeah, I agree, man. This is I do think that there's a lot of opportunity going ahead. All right, Zhang Wei says, when trading traditional markets, though the way we trade them is unless a gap is intra-trading, anything below a daily time frame, we should be ignored once trading and is closed for the day. The gap you have at 7,200 to 7,450 is only evident of a lower time frame. Yes, you're right. You're exactly right. You're talking about the gap at lower time frames. You're 100% correct. Hopefully, I was very clear on that, guys. You are 100% correct. I was 100% wrong. And yeah, egg on my face. Mr. Sylvia says, what about the possibility if we go into 12K, fill the gap, and then dropping down lower? Yeah, certainly a possibility, Mr. Sylvia. That's absolutely on the table, as we've discussed. Justin Worthington says, greed, not letting go of a bad position is exactly what messes me up while trading this market. Sound wisdom, thank you. Well, thank you, Justin. I appreciate that. And yeah, man, no question about it. We've all been there. We've all gotten greedy and held a position for far too long. Thank you. Can you please look at the Bitcoin Litecoin pairing? I'm looking to buy Litecoin before the halving of it. Thank you. That's Nikolai K. And absolutely, Nikolai, no question about it. Let's take a look. All right, looking at the Litecoin Bitcoin pairing. This is on Coinbase. Ooh, Let's see. Does look like it's coming out and testing a major, potentially major area of support right around here. Dip below it just briefly there, but yeah, still major area of support. Actually, that'd be a little bit lower. There we go. That's a much more fair representation. What was resistance turning into uh, support, back into resistance, back into support. Yeah, this area right around not point oh oh. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, somewhere around point not 94.30. I do think that we may be coming down to test that zone again. I would say if we break down below point not 1023, somewhere thereabouts. I do think that it wants to come back down and test at least 01, at least 0102. I do think there's a good chance that we test that area, and if that breaks down, I think it's going to be a quick drop to 0.00943. At that point, I'd probably be a buyer at that point. So yeah, about 0.009 about 0.00943, I'd be a buyer. If that does break down, though, things could get ugly very quickly. If that breaks down, we're looking at 0.00849. I'd definitely be a buyer there, though. But yeah, it looks like it does want to come back down here a little bit in the short term. Would I buy that up? I'm bullish on Litecoin long term. I do think that it's certainly. Let me look at something actually. Let's see. Yeah, that lines up perfectly with the 786. So yeah, 0.00943, I certainly would be a buyer. Obviously, we're getting a lot of yeah, getting a lot of structure. Sorry, I mean we're getting a lot of structure. We have it hitting again right inside that golden pocket. We can see that it acknowledged. Didn't acknowledge the 382, but certainly acknowledged the 50 and certainly acknowledged the golden pocket there, and now is acknowledging the 786. So on the way back up, let me just see something real quick. Yeah, and now on the way back up, rejecting right at the 382. So yeah, I'd look for possibly a drop down to about 0.01027. Maybe small buy order there. Definitely buying at 0.0095 if it does get down there. And if we do break above this the 236, and that sits at about 0.01156. If that does break up, I do think it's going to be a quick rise to about. Actually, I got too many fibs. Let me get rid of a couple there. I do think if it does break up about actually, yeah, if it breaks up about 0.011116, I think if it breaks up above that, I think it'll be a very quick rise to about 0.01305, somewhere thereabouts. Hopefully that helps. And again, guys, Nikolai, anybody, if you ever, Nikolai, you've left me a tip in the past. I'm always going to get to your comments. I'm always going to try to get to everybody's comments, but they're becoming to the point to where I'm not going to have time to get to everybody's comments every single time. But again, I of course I'm always going to make time for anybody that does leave me a tip. This is one of the reasons I say, please, by all means, if you do have a question, I'm going to do my best to get to it. But if you do leave me a tip, of course, I'm going to start to prioritize the ones that do leave a tip. And again, no, that is not. I know that sounds like me being kind of an ass, and it's not. It's just I've got to find a way to prioritize. Otherwise, there's just not enough. There's just not enough time in the day. So hopefully you understand. But Nikolai, hopefully that does answer your question. And again, that is not a threat. I'm going to try to get to everybody. I will always try to get to everybody. It's just there's only so much time in the day. Darkhan Zuzpoof. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right. The idea is making chart for your followers and analysis current trades and sharing ideas. Yes, that is. Thanks, man. Great video as usual. Let's see. Darkin Zazpoof says, same guy there. It says, great video as usual. For a couple months, I've made a lot of mistakes and lost almost 50% of my USD and 8% of my Bitcoin value. Emotions. Yeah, I hear you. I'm asking myself, why didn't I find your videos a little bit earlier? Great technical analysis and forecast. What about making some signals for trades and giving some comments for it? I think you would definitely do appreciate that. Yeah, I don't ever want to give financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I kind of tell you what's good for me, and then you kind of if it helps you, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. But yeah, as far as doing a trading group, I'm probably not going to do that. Again, I don't think they're very effective, and I also think just I don't want that opens myself up to a lot of things that I just don't want to open myself up to. Hopefully you understand, but I appreciate the kind words, man, and thanks for being here. All right, Kevin Roberts says, saw the divergences, bought that suck up. Congrats, Kevin. Awesome job, man. Murat, thumbs up. Thanks, man. Let's see, Jay, great TA. I missed this 10K buy. to buy the rebound, had a buy target at 95.20 and 85.33. Had to draw a probability descending wedge. I had to draw a probable descending wedge. So actually, you know what? I think I've already answered these questions, these prior questions there and lower. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there. Quickly look at Bitcoin one more time. Looking at, yeah, still looking constructive, still consolidating there. So targets remain in play. With that, I'm going to wrap things there. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Till next time, guys, please trade safe. Take care of yourselves. This is Working. Signing out.